tight. This is the worst place to be in side control. So of course, if I'm going to try to do this, he's going to just get tighter to me, and I'm like trying to frame him. So just for if you don't know the terminology, framing is when I'm like this. I want to frame, just like our mirror block and self-control, right? It's the same kind of principle here, except instead of a block, you're creating space. So if I can create space, I can start to get out and I can start to counter. But if he's controlling me, and especially if he's biting down on my neck with his shoulder too at the same time, oh man, what am I gonna do? It's hard to get out of here. So, like I said, if I'm just trying to wedge in there, it's hard. So you got to have the principle of bumping. It's gonna give me a minute second to get that frame in. So I want this one under his neck, because if he pushes in on it and in my frame, it'll hurt him. And we'll do that in a second. I want this one underneath him. So this forearm I want to press against his belt line so I can create space to shrimp and get my knee in there. So I can start putting my knee in there and get in a knee shield. So he's holding on really tight. I'm like trying to, so I bump. Okay, it's just a real quick bump. Now be careful on the one in front of the face so you don't, rack their face when you do this. But a little bump, and I can start putting that in there. I didn't do it really hard because I didn't want to, grind my forearm on his face, especially with these gis on, because it's like sandpaper. Once I get into here, it's not perfect, but now I can start to operate. And again, I just don't want to push, I want to bump, okay? And that maybe I didn't get enough space, so I bump again, and I want to put my knee shield in there. I want to connect my elbow to my knee. So momentarily, this is really good for me, because now it's really hard for him. Now, if it's like I said, 400-pound guy, it's not going to be the same thing, but we're going on close to body similarity, right? Close to our own height, close to our own. May not be perfect, but this will work on a 100-pound disadvantage, a 100-pound difference. 300-pound difference, maybe not, unless you're expert level. So remember, in side control, a lot of guys will they'll do the neck hug, because if his arm is on this side, put your arm this one, yeah. So on this side, there's what's called the armpit escape. So I just go like this, and I can go right to here, and I just push and arch, and he does. So you got a lot of guys who won't do that. Of course, if they're trying to get a kimura or key lock, or straight arm lock, he'll have this one on this side. But we're just going from the theory that they're in here and they've secured you like this. So like I said, this hip's really tight, and I can't get that in there, so I bump. And you'll see, you bump them, and it gives a little bit of space. Same thing, I'm going to bump. Careful. I can do that quick, but I don't want to hurt him. And I come here. So this one, grab, if you're wearing a gi, you can grab. Otherwise, you just kind of cup here. There's a wrist lock here, but don't worry about it. I mean, that's nothing you need to worry about right now. So again, I want this knee in here, but I still don't have enough space because this hip is still really tight, even though I have this frame in. So I'm going to bump, and look how I shrimped back a little bit. See that space I created? Now look. I pull it in, and I want my elbow and my knee connected. Okay. Now it's going to be really hard. Actually, if he's holding on still tight, then I'm just going to push, and I'm going to kind of straighten my back. Like that. Stupid leg Charlie. So, here's what I want you to understand is bumping. Okay? Since we're close to that time of the year when things go bump in the night, we can bump on the mat. So, getting, again, don't worry about this, but proper technique is I'd have, so he can't mount me, I would go foot on my knee and I'd be pressing into his hip. That way, if he tries to mount me, I'm blocking him momentarily. Okay, it also gives me a chance to put that frame in. But if you're doing jiu-jitsu on a regular basis, this is good to practice. And when training last week, I don't want my toes up here where you can just grab them for a toe hold. So I want my toes right here. But yeah, see, instead of going like this, here where you hide your toes. So I should be here. I can still bump from here because I still got this leg. Right in there. Okay, or I could let that go momentarily just to bump up and get that frame. And then again, bump. Watch this. He's tight. I'm not even going to put my hand here. Just watch the space. See that? See the space that opens up? Like that. So boom. I'm in. And again, I'm going to bump as I'm going to shrimp away. I might have to do it twice. Sometimes you have to do it twice. Turn your head the other way. I don't want to choke you. I'm going to bump and get my hips away momentarily. And that gives me a chance to suck this knee right in there. And then I close the gap too. So now I can start getting ready to put him in half guard. I can put him in guard. I can sweep and escape and all the other stuff, okay? So this is where I want you to get to. If you can stick that all the way through, that's great, okay? Sometimes you don't get to. Sometimes you may just have the tip of your knee in there because they just closed the gap, but I still want to put my elbow against it so I can, he's not going to get solid on me. But if you can shoot that thing all the way through there, then do it. All right? Understand, or we need to see it again?